You see, something is going to happen. Something wonderful.
My God, it's full of stars.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the NY Patriot Show. This week I'm covering a little bit of true crime again, and I'm sure if you're a returning listener, you also know that I do have a thing for the Mormons. So of course when it comes to, and the thing is too, is they give you so much stuff to work with. It's nonstop. So, even just checking up on the whole thing that we covered before with Utah and the whole possible sex ring, I'm constantly always looking for stuff with Mormons. And here we have another weird, disgusting, terrible story, unfortunately, that came from the FLDS. And real quick, before we do get into this, before I start getting into the news and the info, I'm sorry. Normally, I do these. I do try to do every other week a show by myself, and I was going to do this by myself also, but I figured, screw it. Why not have my Canadian co-host jump on with me? Plus, really, just to keep going with the whole Mormon thing, we've covered topics before, so I was like, I should really bring her on, So. Thank you very much for, and I kind of just was like threw this, I think, on your plate last night or this morning. So I appreciate the fact that you were able to do as much as you could and jump on with me. And if the people who don't know who you are yet, besides my co-host, would you like to let everybody know who you are and what else you got going on?
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
But yeah, I'm Teresa, your often co-host and fellow Mormon follower. I don't know. There is so much stuff that they give us to look at with the Mormons and the fundamentalist church, especially. Obviously, there is a distinction there that we'll get into. But yes. I'm Teresa. I'm from Canada. And I also have another show with you called Spiritual Gangsters, which is a little bit different than this one, so it's more personalized, and we talk about people's stories and interesting topics, sometimes pop culture, depends. But yeah, it's a good time. It's a lot of fun, and you should check it out if you haven't heard it, because you might learn some things about people you've listened to in other podcasts too.
That is very true. That's right? Actually one of the reasons why I do love that show is because you get people who are always covering topics, but you really don't know much about them themselves, and a lot of them have very interesting and inspiring stories.
Yeah, and it's not just podcast hosts. I mean, it does tend to be often, because those are often interesting people, right?
Yeah, or it's just people we already know too.
Yeah, it's people we kind of already in our circles, so it's easier to talk with them. But there's people who've experienced other wild and interesting things on there. So yeah, it's good chats for the aware and awake crowd. That's what I would say. Definitely
check it out. I enjoy it very much. I look forward to it. It's a break from a lot of the other deeper and harder topics to cover.
Yeah, sure. Totally.
But so now after that, I just do, first off, this episode really, I'm going to be honest with you, is really just based much more on the facts. This is all coming from news articles. The guy's only been arrested. He has not been convicted. So he is technically innocent until proven guilty. I think he's probably guilty. That's my theory and opinion. So most likely. Most of it will just be pretty much the straight facts. Anything else besides that is our theorizing, our commentary, and our opinion. Mm-hmm. And that is also kind of why I do want to just bring up real quick that Samuel Bateman, when we get into it, he is a member of the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the FLDS. That is a little bit different than the regular LDS, the Latter-day Saints. The difference between that is at one point, the LDS, this is another thing too. I could go ahead and tell people I quit eating chicken. You'd have no idea. But supposedly to them, they stopped polygamy because, it's illegal and blah, blah, blah. the FLDS didn't care and still do it. The Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a religious sect of the fundamentalist Mormon denominations whose members practice polygamy. The fundamentalist Mormon movement emerged in the early 20th century when its founding members were excommunicated from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, largely because of the refusal to abandon the practice of plural marriage after it was renounced in the Second Manifesto in 1904. The FLDS Church, as a distinct group, traces its origins to the 1950s in the Short Creek community, now the Twin Cities of Hilldale, Utah, and Colorado City, Arizona, where the group is still based. The FLDS Church has been designated as a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center, citing leader Warren Jeffs. If people happen to remember, I always screw up the name of it. Something Obey and Stay Sweet, or Stay Sweet and Obey, or whatever. The Warren Jeffries, the guy that was taking people to other states and bringing people to Texas, underage kids, marrying them off. That was them. And basically, since he went to jail, this guy took over.
Well, he claims that he's the new prophet.
Yes, and I don't know if there's anything, because I will be showing other news things, or if it's in the news stuff that I'm going to read off now, but just in case I don't mention it later, I think to the point to where he had the people believe that Jeffs was dead.
Yes.
And that's how he took it over as well.
Yeah, that either Jeffs was dead or he, it's called translated. It's a teaching in the Mormon church that it's like God made you immortal. It reminds me of apotheosis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's like God took you up to heaven. I guess I'm assuming that's what it means. Yeah.
You went up to the spaceship that they show in their Mormon cartoons.
Your planet with all your wives, celestial brides.
It's almost like they took Catholicism and benefits, I guess, of certain Muslim beliefs and put them together.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like Christianity, or Catholicism, whatever, Islam, and New Age, alien stuff all together in one religion. It's very interesting.
Very eclectic, like a lot of
quite
like a lot of magic and secret societies, actually.
And then you have the Zion in there, just like little Judaism. Sprinkle of Zion.
and real quick too, if you're just coming across this channel, well, first I'd like to mention that I am starting to do more true crime now. So if you came across this for the true crime, there is a few things on this channel, but I'm also thinking that if you are interested in this, you might actually be interested in some of the other things that I have covered. I have covered stuff on the Mormons, but mostly it's a lot of occultism, secret society, and stuff. And the reason I'm bringing that up as well is because Joseph Smith was a Mason. And the Mormons and the LDS Church do not deny that.
Nope.
So even, going back into the whole eclectic thing and how a lot of secret societies and magic is based on that, just do want to mention that Mormonism was started from Joseph Smith, who was a Mason. So you never know. Guess to get into it, we're going to try to do this in chronological order because there is a few interesting things. Eventually he got arrested and then women stole the kids back that went into child protective services. So
it's wild.
Yeah. So right now I'm just going to try to start off with the first part of the story. The Salt Lake Tribune covers polygamous leader Samuel Bateman had 20 wives, according to the FBI. Sexual misconduct, including underage girls, is alleged in FBI affidavit that details recordings from Bateman and other statements. Samuel Bateman first said he felt prompted to take his own teenage daughter as his wife. His family told investigators in early 2019. Soon after, his wife and daughter left his home in Colorado City. According to the FBI, where Bateman had been raised as a member of the polygamous fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I may just say FLDS in the going on, so I don't have to keep on saying that whole thing.
Yeah.
But the next spring, Bateman began gathering young women and then girls, and then the adult wives of his male followers as his own wives. So this even shows you, I mean, you have to be a master manipulator to start, like, telling your boys, like, yo, you know, you're going to start hitting off your wife. I mean,
how does that even happen? Like, I just don't even know the conversation.
Yeah.
How that goes down, the level of manipulation.
How does that come up in conversation, right?
Right.
How do you bring that up? What do you just like calling your boys and be like, yo, we got to sit down and have a talk and like, I mean, do you have first like, God told this to me. Like, yeah. I don't know how you can convince people to take your wife, you know, just because of religion.
I guess, you know, the way that they are raised in the fundamentalist church, they're, you know, taught to respect like the prophet above all things. And even like in some of the articles, they were taught to call him father. Everyone, his wives, his kids.
Yeah, there was.
It's gross.
There was even I didn't put it in. Or maybe I will. Maybe I'll throw it in here, but I don't think I was going to. There was somebody too that I think was from the FLDS that had left that they had even interviewed, and she did say, she says, "Listen, I'm not trying to stick up for these women that did this stuff." She says, "But I can almost guarantee you that because of their ages too, they were born into this, and they have been mentally, sexually abused." To where they think what they're doing is okay. They don't see anything wrong with it.
No, they think that it's like God's will, so they think it's good.
Yeah, and the lady was even saying herself, she's like, they've been sex trafficked too themselves. So, yeah. Unfortunately, when these things are done to you and you're grown up into this stuff, you could really honestly believe that like everybody else is wrong and you're actually right. So
yeah, exactly. Just it's all you know, right? That's your only experience in this world.
Flora Jessup, a former FLDS member who escaped the religious group decades ago after abuse she went through, says the three wives are also victims to Bateman, following his orders out of fear.
These women are absolute sex traffic victims, every single one of them.
According to accounts detailed in a federal court document Friday. Some of the descriptions are from Bateman, the document said, drawn from recordings made by a Colorado City woman who helps members of the polygamy community and her husband, who was filming the documentary. In one example, Bateman told the couple that Heavenly Father had instructed him in early November 2021 to give the most precious thing he has, his girl's virtue, to three of his adult male followers while he watched, according to an affidavit from Special Agent Dawn A. Martin. Martin said she listened to the audio recording of the conversation from November 2021 as Bateman drove the couple home in one of his two Bentleys. That was another thing, too. This guy was loaded. Where's that money coming from? You know, he even had pictures up in his office, like I think glamorizing, like it had pictures, I think, of like yachts, planes, and like mansions, because it was like something that he wanted to look at every day, telling himself, I will have this.
Yeah, like a vision board.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So what was it really about? Was it about all that, or was it about the religion?
Very pious and holy indeed.
Oh, yeah.
I need me some Bentleys and some yachts. Very Christ-like.
That's when you know God. Yeah, that's when you know you're doing the right thing in God's eyes. You own all these material things He told you not to have to begin with. You know, so Bateman and the girls had sacrificed their virtue to the Lord, Martin said, noting one of the three girls he described was 12 years old at the time. God will fix their bodies and put the membrane back in their body. I've never had more confidence in doing His will. It's all out of love. Martin quoted Bateman.
Whoa.
That's disturbing.
Wow. That's shocking. My face, I was like, what? Wow. I can't imagine as a 12-year-old girl.
You know how many women
going through that.
Our age wish God could do that for them? I'm sure this guy's looking at their thing, praying to God can make it bigger. So,
Oh God.
so, not knocking one side, I'm sure.
Goes both ways.
I'm sure,
Two-way
yes.
street, my friend. It's a two-way street.
I know.
That's funny though.
That's why I had to add in the men too,
Oh, God.
Oh, all
That's
right.
disturbing though.
Yeah,
About a 12-year-old? Fuck.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's disgusting. When I read that, I was just like, yo, like how? I'm sorry. I don't honestly think, unless, again, obviously going by what he's doing, he has to be, in my opinion, mentally off. But like, are you that mentally off to where you actually believe that, or is that just like you being mentally off and trying to convince people?
Well, it's one thing for him to be mentally off, but then for other people to go along with it. Like all the wives and the other adults that are following him, it's like, bro, we draw the line here. Like,
And
you know
what? That is, I think, even a problem with the whole thing with really Mormons, or especially the FLDS, is that whoever's in charge is pretty much like it's like a pope to them.
It is. So
it's like they already are thinking like this is like an important person. They're like almost like a messiah in a sense.
Yeah. Well,
so if they truly believe that, they might believe anything that comes out of their mouth.
I guess. And we've talked about that before on other shows, like about Mormons and even other religions and cults, that it's so interesting how like people really just default their will when they're confronted with authority. Like we're just like, oh, I don't know. You know better than me. And like all logic goes out the window. Oh, yeah. Yo,
you know what? And real quick, just even with like stuff when it comes to like, religions or people, putting other people up on pedestals.
Mm-hmm.
The Muslims or whatever, the ones that I came across in federal prison.
Yeah.
I guess with any religion, but especially in prison, it's like either like you really don't acknowledge it or you go overboard with it so you can hang out with like the gang of other dudes that do, really.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be totally honest with you. There was one dude, I forgot, imam or whatever they call it. Like the head of their car, the head guy inside the building that I was in that ran with the Muslims, that they all looked up to, was banging dudes. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you were the imam, you would not be doing that.
No.
So.
Wow.
You know what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
You really don't know what these people are really like.
No.
I mean, and even put it this way, when you're living with people 24/7 in jail, there was still people who had no idea he was doing that.
That's
what I'm
crazy,
saying?
right? Yeah, and it's not like, privacy is hard to come by, I would imagine, in jail. So it's like, how is this even going down without people really knowing?
Yeah, so
that's wild.
The imam was a booty bandit. So was, what was that, even when I was in jail, just another thing, too. I mean, how many people know that P.D. Pablo was a booty bandit? If anybody even knows who he is, he was hanging out with the dudes doing that stuff in the federal prison I was in.
I think he had some good remixes in his day.
So I'm just saying, things you find out about people when you're around them 24/7, and people who just see videos and things on the news don't know what they're doing. But back to the case. Bateman, 46, has been in jail in Arizona since the FBI raided his 2 homes in Colorado City on September 13th. Agents were looking for evidence of underage marriages or sexual relationships between adults and children, according to a copy of the search warrant shared with the Salt Lake City Tribune. Girls were briefly removed and then returned. The 9 girls were taken into state custody the next day. Bateman has not been charged with sexual abuse, though Martin's affidavit said the FBI has probable cause to believe he and the others transported minors between Arizona, Utah, Nevada, and Nebraska to engage in illicit sexual conduct between May 2020 and November 2021. He has not responded to an email sent by the Tribune to him in jail, and his attorney has not responded to requests for comment. I don't know if that's a surprise.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure he might answer. And that is, and just people being like, emails. Yes, federal prison does allow you to get emails. So, Bateman began to proclaim he was a prophet in 2019, Martin said in her affidavit. In his small offshoot of the FLDS faith, he has approximately 50 followers and more than 20 wives, many of whom are minors, mostly under the age of 15. Most of the wives and daughters, sisters and mothers drawn from two extended polygamous families, she said. Members of the group that began following him told the Tribune that in 2019, Bateman joined a group of the FLDS people who had moved to Nebraska for work. JJ, one of the four wives of a man who began to follow Bateman, told Martin that two of her young adult daughters who were living in Nebraska became Bateman's first plural wives. JJ described a series of marriages that followed, the beginning in approximately May 2020 as followers moved between Nebraska and Utah. The 8 girls recovered in Spokane were listed in the affidavit as wives of Bateman. The young woman who was with them when they were found, Moretta Rose Johnson, also became a wife of Bateman when she was under age 18, according to the affidavit. Johnson gave birth 7 months after she turned 18, indicating the baby was likely conceived when she was 17, Martin noted. Johnson is accused of kidnapping in federal complaint that also accuses 2 other women of kidnapping. One of the 2 other women was arrested Thursday in Colorado City. The status of the third woman is unclear. In summer of 2022, JJ began sharing her concerns about Bateman to the Colorado City woman known for helping the polygamy community. JJ eventually was interviewed by Martin, the FBI agent said. JJ described witnessing multiple occasions in 2020 when Bateman gathered followers to have sexual conduct with him or each other in the group setting, the affidavit said. JJ alleged that girls were at first made to watch sex acts, but on later occasion touched Bateman. Children cannot legally consent to sex acts with adults. JJ also told Martin that Bateman described directing an adult male follower to have sex with a girl in November 2021 gathering that followers later referred to the atonement, the affidavit said. Relatives call police. Police in Colorado City began contacting law enforcement about Bateman in November 2020, Martin said in the affidavit. On November 23rd, 2020, a woman called the Colorado City Marshal's Office to allege that Bateman married a girl born in 2009.
What?
An officer met the girl and her father, who was a follower of Bateman's, at the small airport in Colorado City. The father said the stories were just rumors, she said, and the girl denied having a relationship with Bateman. The next day, a woman called the marshal's office and alleged Bateman had married one of her granddaughters, a girl born in 2011.
What?
The girl is the sister of the child the officer had spoken to the previous day. Later on November 24th, 2020, the grandmother called the Iron County Sheriff's Office to allege Bateman was kidnapping her grandchildren. An officer stopped Bateman, detained him, and interviewed all the adult occupants of the vehicle he was in, including the mother of the 2 children. The mother told sheriff's officers she was going to marry Bateman, and she and the girls were there on their own free will. A parent of each minor in the vehicle said the children were fine with Bateman. Officers contacted JJ the day because one of her daughters was in the vehicle. JJ said she knew her daughters was with Bateman and she was not in danger. She explained she only said that at the time because she was fearful of repercussions for the girls if she said otherwise. Again, what is sad is that maybe some of these people actually do understand that something's wrong, but by the time they wake up, they're so terrified and scared, they don't even know what to say.
Yeah, are they like everyone they know is in this circle, and like who do they even go to for help if they want to leave?
I mean, and again, like, I'm not giving people excuses, but even like, I think this is a really good thing when it comes to Scientology as well.
Mm-hmm.
If that's been your whole life, where are you going? Like, if you want to leave, where are you going? What house are you going to? Where are you staying? Do these people, because of being brought up or being in that for so long, do they even know that there is social services to help them? You know what I'm saying? So, like, these people literally think that I just don't have another option besides dealing with this. So.
Well, I think even in Scientology, I don't know if it's the same in like FLDS, but they're taught like if someone wants to like defect, that they're like dead to you and you're not supposed to like speak to them anymore. They're like a bad person.
Yes, the Mormons, the Jehovah's do that as well. They cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
Bateman's teenage daughter was interviewed the next month, but no further action by officers in Colorado City or Iron County is described by the affidavit. Around the same time, in about November or December of 2020, Bateman drove to the Colorado City couple's home and in a large SUV packed with women and girls. Martin wrote, adding that Bateman introduced everyone as his wives. The youngest was the girl born in 2011.
Oh, come on. God.
A year later, in November 2021, the Colorado City woman contacted law enforcement, and she said had recorded a conversation with Bateman and three of his wives as they described the atonement gathering. That and other recordings of Bateman and his wives were turned over to law enforcement at that time. So not too many of those have come out, so I'm wondering maybe going forward, that's something that will come out and maybe can add to this ongoing investigation. Eventually, in the summer of 2022, JJ began to confide in the women about her concerns about Bateman. The woman recorded their conversations and shared those recordings with law enforcement. Okay, I already said that. Then in early of August 2022, JJ agreed to be interviewed by Martin and shared what she had witnessed. In her statement, JJ acknowledged having sex in front of minor girls. Bateman was arrested on August 28, but not by the FBI, and not based on any of the allegations described in the affidavit. The Arizona Department of Public Safety pulled Bateman over near Flagstaff because authorities said he was towing a box trailer with girls riding unsecured inside. He was arrested and later released. That's another thing, too. There is supposedly reports that, like, you actually saw the kid's fingers sticking out of the holes. Like, you saw the kid's fingers. Like, it was obvious that he was taking a horse trailer with people in it. Like, could you imagine driving down the road and, like, you're seeing like that?
I'd be like, 911.
Like, what's going on in that?
Fuck?
I don't think those are horses.
Right.
And, like, honestly, I mean, listen, me, a horse trainer, maybe you don't have to worry about it. But, like me, I'm not going to get in the back of a horse trailer with a horse by myself. Like, I'm not trying to get kicked back and forth.
No, but honestly, not to make a joke of it, but like when you have 20 wives and how many children, how would you transport them anyway? You just be like, go, everyone in the trailer.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go.
Right. You would have been better off with a U-Haul. At least there's no holes to stick in here.
Or like a bus, right?
Yeah.
A coach bus. Fuck.
Yeah. You know what, son? And then if you did it with a bus, odds are because of like, a bus is just the look of it, probably never would have gotten pulled over.
No. Exactly.
They would have thought it was like something okay and official.
Yeah, the trailer was his downfall, apparently.
Yes. On September 13th, however, the FBI raided Bateman's two homes in Colorado City looking for evidence of underage marriages or sexual relationships between adults and children, according to the copy of the search warrant shared with the Tribune. Bateman has been jailed in Arizona since then. He faces 3 counts of child abuse related to the girls riding in the trailer. He also faces federal charges for allegedly instructing his followers to delete the messaging app Signal from his phone after he was arrested in the traffic stop. He has not been charged with any allegations of sexual abuse. 9 girls were briefly removed from the Bateman's home on the day of the FBI raid and then returned. But they were taken into state custody the next day. 8 of those 9 girls were removed in Spokane on Thursdays. Their whereabouts are now unclear, which is something that we will be getting into later on because the story hasn't ended there. And real quick, I just want to read off affidavit in support of probable cause. Your affiant Dar A. Martin, a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, being duly sworn, disposes and states as follows. The investigation in this case, as more fully detailed herein, has resulted in probable cause to believe Samuel, I don't even know how to say his middle name, Rapidly Bateman, as well as his co-conspirators and aiders and abettors have engaged in the transportation of minors in interstate commerce to engage in criminal sexual activity and travel in interstate commerce to engage in illicit sexual conduct with minors between May 2020 and November 2021 between Arizona, Utah, Nevada, and Nebraska in violation of Title 18 United States Code Sections 24, 23A, and B. Not going to read off the rest of it, but as you can see. Oh, and then he is also being charged with tampering with evidence and stuff because of the asking of the removal of signal.
Mm-hmm.
And real quick, I'm just going to toss in this clip. This is a video clip, body cam footage of when they got arrested and, they got pulled over and detained for questioning. So I'll play that for you right now.
We're going in the trailer. Let's get everyone out of the car. Come on out. Everyone out of the car. Let's start taking them back to the cars. You guys have IDs? No?
Come back.
We're gonna start heading back there.
Come with me. Come with me.
I'll come. Don't
Okay.
touch me.
Just start walking back there.
Go.
They don't need to go in handcuffs. We just need to get them out of here.
Ma'am, just keep your hands out of your pockets for me, okay?
We'll take your ID from you.
Check everything out.
And who else has ID?
I got this one.
Identification. You guys have
Got that one
any?
there.
Any other ID? Nothing? You don't have ID cards? How old are you? 14. How old are you? 11? How old are you? 12? You? How old are you? How old are you? How old are you? You don't have to say, or you just following her? Okay, we'll do that as soon as our investigation is done here, okay? Why children are being transported in a vehicle, we're getting calls about hands sticking out of a vehicle, out of the trailer. So that is why we're contacting you guys, because it is unsafe for children to be riding in a trailer. They're not properly seat belted, and we need to do an investigation and figure out what's going on, okay? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, isn't that legal in Arizona?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so it was interesting, like a couple things that you said. So, I think, like, don't you find it weird that he was arrested on like 9/13, like September 13th?
Yes.
I
I even
weird.
thought it's even one of the clips I'm showing, and I know I mentioned it to you before, and I'm almost positive it's another clip that I have even shown on the Mormons before. I just didn't think much of it. I thought something of it the first time, now the second time. Even the news, 2 news things to do with 2 separate Mormon things, the hour that it started at, the minutes, when you look, it's on 33 minutes on the hour.
Super
I find
weird.
that weird. to tell you the
So
truth.
weird.
Yeah.
I mean, coincidence,
Yes.
Matrix glitch, who the fuck knows? I just thought that was weird, the date of his arrest. And also, I'm not sure, like in the news clip that you are showing, but the photos I've seen in the articles I have, like the way the girls dress is very like Handmaid's Tale vibes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
like,
That is
not only the style, but like the colors that they
Yeah.
use.
and
Like
it-
all the girls are like in blue
mhm.
and like shades, like different hues of the same color. Like, what is going on? Like, is it a uniform? Is it so they know it's like not jealousy, like between like who has what clothes?
That, and
Maybe?
I would not be surprised if it also doesn't show possible rank.
Oh, maybe.
Just like in
Yeah.
Handmaid's Tale, I mean, there was ranks for the clothing too. And
True, yeah.
Just real quick for the listeners, there is plenty of pictures and stuff of the people, the houses, his compound that will be up on the video. So even if you have the video on right now and you're not looking, like what she just said, you can see it for yourself. There will be tons of pictures up on the screen. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and if you're listening and you want to actually see all this stuff, check out the video. You'll see a lot more visuals because I will be putting stuff up on the screen just as we're talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just thought that was odd.
Yes.
So I'm going to go into inside the homes that were raided.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to read some points from an article from the Salt Lake Tribune. And the title is A Look Inside Homes Raided by Federal Agents Seeking Evidence of Underage Marriages in FLDS Splinter Group. So it just goes into Samuel Bateman was arrested and remains in Arizona jail, facing charges of destroying evidence and child abuse. So he had 2 homes that were raided. One is called the Green Home because it's green. And I'm just going to see where that starts. So inside the greenhouse, this is where Bateman lived with his closest followers inside this small green home, according to those who live in their community. And if you see like the pictures on the screen, for those who are listening and don't have a visual, it's not very big from what I can tell in the photos. So you can imagine there are, I think, like 24 people living in this 2-bedroom house.
That's a really good point because, well, he does even have, I think, 2 of them. One's way bigger than the other, but like for the amount of people that are supposed to be in this, I mean,
like where do you even all sleep? And
it has
also,
to be bunk beds.
When is all this sex happening? Just in front of everybody? Is that how it goes down? Is this like orgy time?
The house? I don't know.
Do the kids go in one room and then the adults are not? Like, I don't get it, you know? Yeah. Anyways.
So, with all those people, there isn't much privacy in those homes.
No, right? Like, how do you even go to the bathroom? Honestly, I can't. So the first picture shows like a kind of a visionary picture of like a mansion. And then another framed picture says, "Choose ye this day whom ye will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." That's in their foyer and prayer room, which I found interesting. So it says, inside the green home, the foyer or prayer room includes a rendering of a 40-bedroom, multi-million-dollar marble mansion. Bateman said in a YouTube video he posted that he had a dream about building this new home on federal land, a place where he could bring the Queen of England for a visit.
Oh, wow.
So this is just like a great picture of his mental state, honestly. And Bateman and as many as 24 others shared this 2-bedroom home in Colorado City, Arizona, near the Utah state line.
Maybe we want to get in touch with the Queen because he thought her son might have been interested.
Maybe he likes some of his wives.
Yeah, this might be a good business deal.
God, honestly, yeah. He's like, they seem to have the same morals as me.
Yeah.
We could be friends. We could be besties.
Right?
Right? God.
And if we get caught, she'll just, she's passed
bail
already.
me out.
But yeah, maybe they'll just bail us out like they did with the son.
Right.
We'll just pay someone to shut up.
The Queen would have just passed away right before he got arrested. I think she died on like September 8th.
That's true.
He was arrested on the 13th. But I'm sure he had this dream for a long time.
Yeah.
So just showing also a picture of a framed card that was on his bed after the agents spent several hours searching through the home. It's just showing that his followers referred to Bateman as father. So it's like a prayer for him on the card. There's also a lovely framed photo of former FLDS leader Warren Jeffs in their house, who is currently serving a life sentence in Texas, as we already kind of touched on, for sexually abusing girls and taking polygamous wives. That's inside the greenhouse. Several of Bateman's followers told the Tribune that he began telling them in 2019 that he was the new prophet, and Jeffs had either died in prison or was translated, which I said before is a teaching of the mainstream LDS church, that refers to God changing a person from mortal to immortal. And Bateman told his followers that Jeffs would only speak through him. So he's the new authority, I suppose. Then he's got some kind of vision board stuff. So there's a picture in this article of a vision board tacked to the wall over a workspace in the home that displayed dreams of a lavish future life. Bateman claimed in a YouTube video that he spent $70,000 on business mentorship programs and was in communication with billionaires. Who can support 20 wives, I don't know how many kids, and still spend 70 grand on bullshit business courses? Where I can barely support 2 children. Like, where does this happen? Where's this money coming from?
I've said it, again, getting back even to the Masons. Well, one real quick, and this is a thing too that I think maybe, people should think about. It's a theory, just, my commentary, my opinion. The whole thing with Warren Jeffs, he was taking them to Texas to do a lot of weird stuff. Texas, huge base for Masons.
Yeah.
Again, like I had said, Joseph Smith was a Mason. When you watch that Netflix series and they're showing you them talking about Jeffs, bringing them into El Dorado, and they're showing you the sign on Netflix, welcome to El Dorado, there's a Freemason sign next to the El Dorado sign.
Yeah, I remember you showing me that. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Now, again, this is just my theory, but is this guy maybe continuing something that dude got popped for? And is he just working and answering to other people?
Or is he just like trafficking his kids and wives?
Or he could just be sick in the head.
Which
and doing
could
his
be
own
a
thing.
business inherited from his predecessors.
That's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Exactly. So very weird, and is it, again, you're going about, well, where'd you get this money from? Is there funding or money coming from somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there actually a lot more going on that we don't know about that's generating so much money that's where they're getting it from?
Yeah. Who knows? But probable. Those are probable explanations.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people joined in his FLDS and handed over all their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I from what I think a lot of these were born into it, so they didn't have property to hand over to him to get rich off of.
Well, and as we know, like the Mormons are very big on tithing, like mandatory tithing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a minimum, like 10%, like you have to give, no matter what, of your income or whatever. So maybe he had that amongst his 50 followers. I guess, if you're getting 10% a month from everyone's earnings, it adds up real good. Right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's true.
Probably a combination of a few of those possible explanations. Okay, so as well in the home, there's like tons of books about religion, financial empowerment, baby names. Of course, to name all those fucking kids. There's a picture on a whiteboard of their 5-year plan with some little it doesn't look like much of a plan to me, but they have some financial goals on this whiteboard. And another vision board was framed and hung inside the home. Bateman did accomplish his goal of having luxury cars. He was often seen around town wearing a white leather jacket, traveling in a single file. White leather jacket's key. Traveling in a single file motorcade of 2 Bentleys sandwiched between 2 Range Rovers.
I really hope he had like a white hat too that he wore.
That would be so pimp, right?
Like a white.
He is like
hat.
a pimp. Like, honestly.
Oh,
God, I don't understand though. Why do you want your wives in these like shitty ass clothes and then you want them to drive Range? Who's driving the Range Rovers and the Bentleys?
Him.
I guess they're not even old enough to have a license if they're all under 15.
No, I'm saying it's only for him. It's nobody else.
God.
Yeah.
So fucking bizarre. Or his male followers, I guess. I don't know.
No, I'm sure he was just using it himself.
Right. Okay. So then they also had another home that was raided called the Blue House, which in the photo looks very dilapidated.
Yes.
So you're spending all this money on cars and business courses, yet you house your huge family in a shitty house. Like,
honestly, no
priorities.
lie. Like, I'm going to be totally honest with you. When I've gone to the Dominican Republic and gone on excursions,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's very humbling actually seeing what some parts of the Dominican Republic can look like.
For sure.
If you would have told me that was in DR, I would have believed it.
Yeah. I know what you're saying by the photo. Absolutely. Yeah. So it just says other members of Bateman's group lived in a large blue home located 2 blocks away from the green home, according to followers. So the house has a Zion sign over the doorway, which signifies a fervent belief and dedication to the faith. Interesting. It's just showing pictures of the bedrooms, like ransacked after the FBI raid, so everything is like messy. Of course, there's a photo of their daily schedule. So apparently they would like get up at 4:30, have prayers and personal time. Everything is scheduled, like breakfast cleanup, morning exercise, school time, lunch.
Gotta
like,
keep
it's
people programmed.
very regimented, and then everyone's supposed to be asleep by 10:30. Which reminds me very much of Nexium.
Mm-hmm.
Keith Raniere used to have his girls on a schedule like that, and like up at like an extreme early hour, busy till like late at night, and then wake up and like do it all over again.
Yes,
And like
think,
exhaust them.
I think I even have. Just real quick, sorry to interrupt you, but I think I do even have screenshots or pictures of this too that I might be throwing up as well. The whole schedule.
Yeah.
But yeah, very much like Raniere as well.
Mm-hmm.
I even think Fellowship of Friends had that as well too.
Oh, interesting.
You need, in my opinion, when you're running a cult, you need to have people. You can't give them much time to start thinking on their own.
Right.
You need to have a schedule to constantly be telling them what they're thinking about or what they're focusing on.
Well, I guess having the 2 properties and maybe like the land is quite large. I'm not sure. Like the homes don't look like much, but maybe they have a lot of property to take care of, because a lot of the daily schedule is like yard work and outside chores.
They might be very self-sufficient. Who knows? They might have like
probably some sort of homestead, or like they have animals. Like who knows? I mean, that would certainly help with the grocery bills for all those people. Some chickens and stuff. Anyways, also in the Blue House, there's a portrait of FLDS leader Warren Jeffs hung on the wall in a common room. Other revered church leaders were on the opposite wall, including Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, Leroy S. Johnson, and Rulon Jeffs. So other prominent FLDS people. And third property that was raided by the authorities was called the Warehouse. So Bateman kept a small warehouse in Colorado City where he spent time, and women worked call center type jobs. I'm like, call center for what? It doesn't say, but maybe we could find out. So that was raided on September 13th. Inside the warehouse, there was a receipt for property, which federal authorities had seized computers, a hard drive, Bateman's birth certificate, and handwritten notes and journals. They also took 2 adult toys from the warehouse, several cell phones, according to the document. And I was like, "Oh, is the sex happening at the warehouse? Not in the crowded greenhouse?"
Maybe that's for lunch break or
right.
For the women
He picks a wife and brings it to the office. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. Anyways. There's also a picture of a whiteboard with a little love note that says, "Father dear, I heart you, I need you." Obviously written by somebody to him. There's also a photo in this article of his favorite drinks. So he's got a maca shake, he wants a spinach smoothie, a bulletproof coffee, and some other sort of yerba mate drink. Every day he needs this. 5 times a day. It says 7 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 p.m., 3 p.m., and 4 p.m. Father wishes that all of his drinks are on time. So one of the followers or women had to make him this stuff and deliver it. Sounds like The Devil Wears Prada. She needed her drinks like on time.
Sounds crazy that his father.
Yeah. Father wishes all his drinks are on time is on the instructions. There's also positive affirmation notes and tasks to complete, like a to-do list was just like inside the warehouse. And that's pretty much it for the details of what was raided. Another thing I wanted to like quickly mention, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but just some of the things that like his wives had written.
Sure. Let's hear it.
Yeah, because I think it just shows you
The mindset of people.
Yeah, the mindset of the women. So this is also from the Salt Lake Tribune. And the title is, With Their Polygamous Prophet in Jail, his followers wrote these questions to ask Samuel Bateman. So members of the offshoot group allowed a photographer to document their notes that they hoped he would read and answer at a later time. This one just really got me. I was like, oh my God. It says, is it possible for us, your wives, to ever have enough gratitude in our hearts for you and what you have done for us?
That's
What?
real manipulation.
What the fuck?
That's horrible.
I can barely appreciate one husband and I'm one wife. Like, how does that work in your mind as a woman or anyone? Like sharing like spouse, I just don't understand.
I don't get it.
I don't get it at all. So that's one of the notes. Another one says, we want to come with you everywhere you go. How do you feel about it?
Oh, this is weird.
It's weird. Some of them are just like random, like weird questions. Like, what is the most encouraging experience in your life so far? Like, don't you already know like all about him, or not really? Does he not have doesn't have time to talk to each wife? Like maybe they don't actually know him like all that well. Here's another
That's
great
a good point,
one.
actually.
What is it that make you love each one of us as your wife to the point we know you love us all the same and there is no favoritism?
That's a pretty serious question right there.
I'm just like, this one, maybe she's thinking a little bit more.
I was like, yeah, maybe she only drank 2/3 of the cup of Kool-Aid.
God. How do you know when a heavenly being is close by your side? Interesting.
Yeah.
Here's another one, a 3-parter. When you were young, were you curious about the work? I'm assuming that's his like heavenly mission. I don't know. Did you always have a desire to do right and to be obedient? Were you a question asking person? Like, is this like a get to know you game? Like, I don't understand.
Again, like, I'm sure this is just the way they worded it, but like in my mind already thinking of occultism because of the Masons. I mean, that's what doing the work. I mean, everybody uses that as a phrase.
That's true.
Are you
right.
actually doing what you're supposed to be doing if you're aspiring to be a magician? It's called the work. Some people Crowley, the great work.
Yeah,
But
right.
I'm sure it may have nothing to do with that, but like that
No,
just pops
probably.
into my head,
Yeah,
a
no,
possibility.
that's right. I'll just read 2 more. There's a bunch more. Another question was, will we ever have to do without you after this life? So she's like still hoping that they'll be reunited, I'm assuming.
Maybe she's like, after I die, can I get rid of this dude?
Can I get rid of you? Am I stuck
Will I
with
be
you?
free then?
Maybe.
You're going to torment my soul too after the fact.
Oh, God. Maybe. Okay, here's the last one. When did you learn that your course was pleasing to God?
See, then again, like even that question, you would think if you know the dude enough. I mean, you would think even after he gets up in his pulpit and preaches his stuff, like you'd know some of these questions.
Right? It feels like they don't know him that well.
Well, probably not, because he's just like, I want that, and he just gets it. And they may not even really know him.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Anyways.
That's actually really good. Yeah, those questions are actually pretty interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. As a female, I'm just like very disturbed reading that, honestly. I'm
like you said, at least 2 or 3 of those questions, it's like you don't even know the dude.
Yeah, and like just I'm imagining, if most of them were posed by the younger wives, like the 15 and under, like I don't know. I'd feel like sad, because it's just like there's still a level of innocence there, maybe in their character. It's like
then again,
naive, like a naivete kind of thing.
those questions I also could see making sense from someone very young.
Right. Yeah. It's like really sad, honestly.
Disturbing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. I guess we'll get to the ending part. And if this hasn't sounded any weirder, I'm going to play this news clip. And
oh, God.
Yeah, the saga continues.
Samuel Bateman and 3 of his wives are now facing a grand jury indictment for their alleged roles in the kidnapping of 8 underage girls in the Department of Child Safety's care. Kids 11 to 16 years old, said to be part of the FLDS Church, a polygamous group with Bateman as the alleged leader. They were taken into state custody after Bateman's Colorado City compound was raided back in September. Bateman was arrested. Originally, his 3 wives, 24-year-olds Naomi Beislein, Donna Barlow, and 19-year-old Moretta Johnson, were named as suspects. But investigators say they learned that Bateman was speaking with the women the entire time while at the Florence Correctional Facility. Authorities obtaining video calls showing Bateman talking with his wives and the missing girls numerous times. At one point, asking them if they were in Arizona, which they said they were not. Officials say the 3 wives were eventually caught with the 8 girls. On Thursday, Beislein and Barlow pleaded not guilty in federal court to the charges against them, including kidnapping.
So as you saw there, that these women, even though regardless of what they went through, were crazy enough to go steal the kids back. And on a news article, real quick, I'll just read it off, even though I just showed you that. On the Sunday after Thanksgiving, 8 girls under the care of Arizona child welfare officials disappeared from group homes near Phoenix. By Thursday of that week, they were back in custody, and 2 young women had been arrested, accused of kidnapping them, with a 3rd woman who was arrested the next day. All 11 women and girls had been taken as wives, the FBI alleges, by self-proclaimed prophet Samuel Bateman, as he led a small offshoot of the polygamous fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. On November 27th, Arizona law enforcement authorities listed 8 of the 9 girls taken from Colorado City as missing juveniles, according to police reports. 4 days later, court documents said a Spokane County Sheriff's deputy found all 8 girls outside an Airbnb in Spokane, Washington, in a vehicle driven by a 19-year-old woman. Also on Thursday, a 24-year-old woman was arrested in Colorado City. The FBI described both of the women as wives of Bateman. Federal court records show a 3rd woman, described by the FBI as a young adult, was arrested the next day. The story behind the girls' disappearance. The affidavit also revealed that Bateman, through video calls from behind bars, and yes, you can do video calls. I think some of them actually use Skype.
I was gonna ask you that. Like, can you make video calls from jail?
As far as I know, unless anything's changed in the feds, you can't. But again, when I was arrested for my federal charge, because again, it was my charge dealt with the mail that made it federal. I had mailed something to Nebraska, so technically my case was in Nebraska. So when I got arrested and detained, I had to do all that in Nebraska. Now, I wasn't sent straight to a federal place. So I was held over in a county jail in Iowa, I think it was. And they did have, you could get video. Actually, that was the only way you were getting a visit, was through video, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's more of county jails tend to be a hell of a lot more strict and with security.
Really?
Believe it or not, than a low or maybe even a medium, penitentiary. No, prison. Penitentiary is totally different. Oh. But, a medium and a low jail will have, more restrictions, and the county jail is pretty much based on if you're in like a medium or a high. So, yeah, your visits, some places will do videos just so you can't even be around the person and get drugs passed on to them or whatever.
Right. But can you just like request that? Because it sounds like he's making a lot of video calls.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
Like whenever he wants.
Yes. I think you actually have to. I don't remember correctly, but I think you actually have to put in the request yourself too.
Oh.
But to keep going, yes, he was doing video calls from behind bars, had been keeping in touch with the girls who disappeared from group homes and the young adult wives as they traveled in groups to multiple states. So, yeah, just real quick, I just wanted to show that too, and the fact that, these 3 women even went and took these kids back. So, like, it's 2 things. Neither, like I said before, is this some kind of organized thing going on? Are they involved? Or are they actually just so brainwashed? They actually believed that what was going on was the right thing to do and they needed to save them.
Yeah, I honestly think it's probably that.
The latter, right? Unfortunately.
The latter. Yeah, I think too, in an article I had read briefly about what happened to the girls after his arrest. It seems like the older wives and children were influencing the younger ones about what to say and not to say certain things. Because, I guess they assume that they understand he'll be in trouble. And there was a quote from him saying something like he wanted them to like all be together. It was like stressing him out that they were like all separated. And then he's like, I really need you guys to like be together. For me, for my like mental like sanity.
Well, again, I even think that was the whole thing. Separated, you may start to run your mouth. Together, one's going to be watching the other one.
Right.
The older ones, shh, don't say nothing.
Right. Well, and then the older ones can kind of
control the younger ones. So I honestly think this dude understood that they need to be together or separately they may start to fall and run their mouths. Mm-hmm. That's my theory, my opinion.
Yeah, well, it makes sense because I think one of the younger ones even, like, she confessed about sexual abuse when she was in the group home situation, the Child Protective Services situation.
There was even one that said, I'm not allowed to talk to you.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and it said in another article that the girls were very uncooperative in general in talking about anything.
Yeah. Well, there was even stuff that, like, I edited out of, like, that arrest where you can tell, like, they didn't want to be touched. They didn't want to hand over their phones at first, which I actually thought was actually, I had no idea. I had wondered if, you could just easily do this on purpose. The cop had said, believe it or not, it's a new law that's passed that if there's 18 officers involved in an investigation, you cannot record it with your phone now. So, like, all you need to do is just, there's 18 of us here now. Shut off your phones and you have to hand them over.
Wow.
Like, you could just purposely make sure you have enough there just to keep saying that every time you want.
It's like, oh, well, that's the rule, right?
Yeah. You get on the radio, just send like 5 more cars.
Yeah. Then they get
I got to put these people's phones away.
Yeah. It's so funny. I found the quote that he said. So he was on a video call and then he tells the wives to get that girl and that they need to be with her, explaining how it puts pressure on him when they are scattered and that he needs everyone to be together. Puts pressure. It's an odd choice of words. So probably like you were saying.
Yes.
It makes him nervous.
I think so.
Wow.
So I
wild.
Wild, exactly. I thought this was a very wild story. I mean, the first part of it's wild enough. And then the fact that they take the kids back, I was just like, I got to cover this. This isn't, wild. And I'm sure, I'm hoping, more of this will come out. And if it does, I'm sure we'll continue to cover this interesting crime story here. Because it is truly, truly bizarre. And then again, like I said, unfortunately, whenever the Mormons make the news for something that isn't positive, it is normally bizarre. Actually, to tell you the truth, I've never came across a positive one. Maybe there is, but, it's always something very weird going on with them. And I have mentioned it before on this channel, and maybe if I start covering enough of it, it will sink into their heads. Don't sleep on these people. There is something up.
Yeah.
They own the 5th largest private property in the United States. They own the most property in Florida. I hate to say it for you people who love orange juice, there's a good chance you're drinking theirs because they own the largest orange juice fields in Florida. So,
Yeah.
you got a lot of politicians for some reason thinking Florida is the place to be. Very weird. Very weird.
Yeah. And funneling all like Canada, well, Ontario for sure, from my experience, has lost a lot of prominent people to Florida and Texas. All our best minds are leaving.
Yes.
They're going to join ranks.
And again, like we said,
Mormons.
there was ties to Texas with Warren Jeffs. And again, huge place for the Masons. And I can't remember correctly, but I even think when we covered Quetzalcoatl, there was a lot of them close to the border for Mexico and Canada. So if I remember correctly, I do think, coincidentally, a lot of these lodges were right near borders. I'm pretty sure there was a bunch in Texas or at some point.
Great for trafficking of things,
yes,
things and people.
And when you're a part of the Order of Quetzalcoatl and you have vans that are used for transporting Shriner children, again, who's going to think about pulling that over?
Right.
Just theories and ideas. But I think that's enough of that. I did think this was going to be a short, like 30 to 45 minutes. It's a regular episode, and honestly, like unless like I speed read this stuff and just kind of skimmed over it, I think it's going to be this long anyway. So yeah, I thought very interesting, disturbing crime that we will keep covering as long as more stuff comes out. And if anybody else knows anything about this stuff that was not covered, wherever you're listening or watching this, if you can comment and add, I'd preferably ask you to add actual facts and not your opinions. But if there's any actual facts due to this case that I did not cover, please add to it. I'm going to say it right now, and I was looking for it even while we were doing this. For some reason, I have this thing stuck on my head that Bateman has been arrested before in the past. For something else, I was trying to find it again. But for some reason, just within the amount of time and whatever, I couldn't find it. I could be wrong, but I think he may have actually been arrested in the past for something and nothing really happened from it. But was almost similar to this. So it's just like, did we already know this dude was a problem beforehand?
Maybe to do with Jeff's.
Something.
Before.
It was something, yeah, where I think like he had a run-in with the law prior already. So this isn't new for him. So if anybody comes across to that stuff, please throw the link, throw the news article, hit me up wherever. Because if I do cover this again, I will love to throw that in. But yeah, that is the end of another, true crime, weird crime, disturbing crime episode on the NY Patriot Show. Thank you very much for joining me with this. It helped make this a lot easier for me, and honestly, it would have taken me longer to do it if I had to do this by myself. So.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and of course, like I said, I feel like really when it comes to the Mormons, it's just like, it wouldn't be the same without you here.
Oh, yeah. That's our thing now.
Yes. So thank you all for hitting that play button and checking this out. Again, if you are fairly new to this and you are listening, I highly suggest YouTube and BitChute. Sometimes Rumble, I still post on there, but not too often. Check those out for the video. The BitChute and Rumble especially BitChute, will definitely have more than YouTube because of censorship. So if you're listening, you do have video options. And like I was saying before in this episode, there was plenty of things I'm showing on the screen. You will be missing out on that. I don't have the time to point out all of it. It'll just make this way too long. If you're watching and you don't always want to have to watch and you're fairly new, like I was saying before, I do have podcasts. All of those links are in the bottom. All major podcast hosts, this is available on it. If you're new, this is your first time and you're still listening, that's what's up. Smash that like button. Smash that sub button and pass it on. There is no commercials. There is no paywall. So the only thing I can ask for is to share it. I hope you all found this interesting and not too disturbing, even though it is. That's not the reason of these shows, is to disturb people, but it's just to show the stuff that's going on, that even though this was in the news online, I didn't hear anything about it on the TV.
Nope.
So there we go. I'm just trying to put stuff out and maybe start connecting dots. Who knows? Mm-hmm. So until the next one, everybody be well. Later.